The first time people saw her, the world stood still. It was just before sunrise in the small city of Asterfield, where mornings were quiet and life moved slowly. The sky was painted in soft gold and orange when a strange light appeared high above the horizon. Too bright to be a plane, too smooth to be a meteor. At first, no one paid attention. A few early joggers stopped to take pictures. Some thought it was a drone show or maybe a satellite flare. But within seconds, the light grew larger and closer. A deep hum spread through the air. Not a sound you could hear, but one you could feel. The ground vibrated softly beneath everyone's feet. Dogs barked. Car alarms went off without reason. Then it came into view, a ship shaped like a teardrop of molten silver, gliding silently across the morning sky. It reflected the sun so perfectly that it looked like a floating mirror, bending light around it. There were no wings, no engines, no smoke, just smooth, living metal. People stopped in the streets. Phones were raised, recording everything. The ship slowed, hovered above a wide neighborhood park, and descended until it was only a few meters above the ground. And then a door opened. From the bright light inside, a tall figure stepped out. She wasn't wearing armor, just a smooth, silver suit that moved like fabric but shimmered like water. Her skin had a faint lilac tone that seemed to glow gently in the sunlight. Her eyes were bright emerald green, large, luminous, and full of emotion. Her hair, long and white like frozen light, floated gently even without wind. No one moved. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. The alien woman slowly scanned the crowd, her face soft but full of sadness, as if she had carried centuries of grief. And then she spoke, in clear, calm English. "Where is she?" The crowd exchanged confused looks. Someone shouted, "Who?" The woman's lips trembled. "My daughter," she said quietly. "Where is my daughter?" For a long moment, nobody answered. Within an hour, soldiers and agents arrived. Helicopters circled the sky. The park was sealed off with flashing lights, weapons, and fear. The alien woman didn't fight. She didn't resist. She only watched the humans around her, sadness in her glowing eyes. When they asked her who she was, she said softly, "Mother." When they asked where she came from, she said, "Far beyond your stars." When they asked what she wanted, her voice broke slightly. "I just want my child back." They took her to a research facility, white walls, bright lights, and endless cameras. Scientists ran every test imaginable. They scanned her body, her DNA, her heartbeat. Everything about her screamed alive. Not a robot, not a trick. She was real, but not human. Her blood carried metallic particles that reacted to light. Her cells repaired themselves in seconds. Her voice carried frequencies beyond human range. Yet when she spoke, she sounded fragile, desperate. She told them her name didn't matter. Her planet was gone, destroyed in a war that erased entire civilizations. During the last evacuation, her infant daughter was lost, taken by scavengers who sold survivors to other worlds. Her search had brought her to Earth. But no matter how many times she told her story, no one believed her. The humans thought it was a trick or maybe a test. They locked her in a containment room. For days she sat silently, staring at the stars through the glass ceiling. And then, one night, she vanished. No alarms went off. No doors opened. She simply disappeared. 2 years passed. Rumors spread. People across the world claimed to see her. The glowing woman who walked through small towns and rural roads, knocking on doors at dawn. Some called her an angel. Others said she was a ghost. The media called her the Starlight Mother. Everywhere she went, she asked the same question. "Please, let me see your child." She never harmed anyone. She would gently place her palm near a child's cheek, close her eyes for a moment, then shake her head sadly and move on. Sometimes, strange things happened where she had been. Flowers would bloom in frozen soil. Lights would flicker when she cried. Old machines would start working again, whispering softly in a language no one understood. For 3 long years, she searched across continents, alone. One morning, in the quiet mountain town of Riven Valley, a young man named Daniel Hart sat at the top of an old observatory, adjusting a telescope. The observatory was small and forgotten, a place where he spent most nights stargazing and wondering about life beyond Earth. He didn't believe in aliens. Not really. He believed in science, in distance, in math, in logic. That changed when his younger sister, Lila, came running up the hill, her face pale and eyes wide. "Daniel," she gasped, "you have to come down. There's someone outside. She's asking for you." Daniel frowned. "Who?" Lila swallowed. "She says she's your mother." Daniel almost laughed. "What? Mom's in the city, Lila." Lila shook her head quickly. "No, not her. This woman, she's not normal." Before Daniel could question her, the air outside began to shimmer. A wave of warm light rolled through the valley. Every bird went silent. The telescope's metal frame hummed softly. Daniel stepped outside. At the bottom of the hill stood a figure bathed in golden light. Her long white hair glowed like fire, and her green eyes seemed to shine even brighter under the morning sun. She looked fragile and powerful all at once. Daniel froze. He'd seen her before, not in person, but in news reports, in blurry photos. The alien mother, the Starlight Woman. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she whispered his name, Daniel Hart. His heart skipped. "How do you know my name?" She smiled sadly, tears forming in her eyes. "Because I gave it to you." He stared at her, disbelief in his voice. "You're saying you're my mother?" Her voice trembled. "Yes. I have searched every human home for 3 years. I have crossed oceans and deserts. The ship's light surrounded them both, warm and weightless. The world blurred into gold and silver. And just before everything faded, Daniel heard her whisper one last time, her voice full of tears, hope, and love. "You were never lost, only hidden." The golden light faded. Daniel blinked several times as his vision slowly returned. He was standing inside something, a large, glowing room that curved in every direction like the inside of a pearl. The air was warm and carried a faint hum, almost like music played from the walls themselves. He turned in circles, trying to understand what he was seeing. The walls weren't metal, but alive, pulsing gently with soft light that changed colors as he moved. The alien woman, the one who claimed to be his mother, stood a few steps away. Her expression was calm but sad, her green eyes glowing brighter now that they were inside the ship. Daniel's voice trembled. Where are we?" Her voice was soft. "Inside my vessel. You are safe here." Daniel shook his head. "Safe? You kidnapped me." She didn't react with anger, only quiet understanding. "If I wanted to take you, I could have done so years ago," she said. "I brought you here only to show you what you truly are." Daniel folded his arms tightly. "I don't believe any of this. I'm human. I was born here." She walked closer, her footsteps silent on the glowing floor. "Yes, you were raised here, but you were not born here." Daniel opened his mouth to argue, but then the walls around him began to shift. The ship projected images into the air, vast galaxies, burning stars, and swirling nebulae, each one moving like a living painting. At the center of the vision was a small, beautiful planet. Silver oceans, purple clouds, 2 glowing moons hanging above. "That was our home," she whispered. "A world of peace until it was destroyed." Daniel's heart pounded. The image zoomed closer, showing bright explosions across the planet's surface. Fire spreading through cities made of glass and light. "They came for our kind," she said bitterly. "They feared us because we could do what they could not, heal, create, and connect to the energy of life itself." Daniel frowned. "Connect? What does that mean?" She turned toward him. "It means I can feel your heartbeat, even when you are far away. It means that our souls are linked. You carry my light inside you." Daniel took a step back. "No, this can't be true." She sighed softly, then reached out her hand. "Then let me show you." He hesitated, but something inside urged him to take her hand. When he did, a rush of warmth flowed through him. Not pain, not fear, but light. The world disappeared. For a moment, Daniel was standing somewhere else, a white city beneath twin moons. The air smelled like rain and metal. Children with pale violet skin ran through glowing gardens, laughing. Among them was a woman, his mother, younger, smiling, lifting a small baby in her arms. Daniel realized with shock that the baby had his eyes. The vision faded, leaving him breathless. He let go of her hand, his voice shaking. "That was me?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Yes, my son. That was the last memory I had of you before they took you away." Daniel felt dizzy. "But how did I get here? How did I end up on Earth?" Her expression darkened. "When the enemy invaded, many children were taken. Some were sold. Some were hidden. You were one of the hidden ones. A human ship found your escape pod drifting near Mars. They brought you here, never knowing where you came from." Daniel tried to process her words, but his thoughts spun wildly. "So you've been searching all this time?" 3 years here," she said softly. "But in our time, much longer. Every day, without you, felt like 1,000 years." Her voice cracked slightly, and for the first time, Daniel believed her pain was real. Before he could respond, a sudden alarm echoed through the ship, a deep mechanical hum that vibrated through the walls. Her eyes widened. "They've found us." "Who?" Daniel asked. "Your people," she whispered. "Humans." Outside, the sky erupted in sound. Jets screamed overhead. A bright spotlight pierced through the ship's curved walls. The woman moved quickly, pressing her palm against control panel. The light dimmed around them. "They want to take me again," she said quietly. "They fear what they don't understand." Daniel's voice rose. "Then let me explain to them. You're not here to hurt anyone." Her expression was full of sorrow. Would they listen, Daniel? Even after seeing what I am? He opened his mouth, but before he could answer, the ground trembled. A deafening explosion rocked the valley outside. Through the translucent wall, Daniel could see military vehicles approaching. Soldiers surrounded the area, weapons raised. A helicopter hovered overhead, wind blasting through the dust. The woman looked at him, her voice urgent. "Daniel, they cannot take you." "Me!" he shouted. "Why would they want me?" She stepped closer. "Because now they know the truth, too. They've been watching you since the day I found you. You are not just my child. Daniel, you are proof that humans and our kind are connected." Daniel stared at her, his heart racing. "What are you talking about?" She pointed toward his chest. "You've already felt it. The pulse inside you. That is not human. It is the light of Aaron, our people's gift." He looked down at his hands, and for the first time saw faint lines of light glowing under his skin like tiny constellations. I don't understand," he whispered. She placed both hands on his face, her voice trembling but strong. "You will, but not here, not now." A beam of energy struck the ship from outside, shaking it violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Daniel fell to the floor as alarms blared. The alien mother stood firm, her eyes blazing with light. She shouted, "Hold on to me." Daniel reached for her, and as their hands touched, the world burst into white light. For a moment, everything went silent. No explosions, no soldiers, no sound at all, just peace. When the light faded, the valley was empty. The ship was gone. The soldiers stared at the open space where it had been, dust swirling in the air. But far above Earth's clouds, a faint silver shape shimmered, rising higher and higher until it disappeared into the sunlight. Daniel gasped as the pressure eased. He looked out the ship's clear dome, clouds below, stars above. The alien woman placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "Now, my son, it's time for you to see what lies beyond your world." Daniel stared through glass, awe and fear mixing in his chest. For the first time in his life, he realized he wasn't just part of Earth. He was part of something far greater. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass dome. Daniel had never seen anything like it. The Earth hung below, small, glowing blue, wrapped in thin white clouds. He pressed his hand against the glass, speechless. "It's beautiful," he whispered. His mother smiled softly beside him. "It was once your home, and still is in many ways." Daniel turned to her, confusion in his voice. "You said I wasn't human, but I feel human. I grew up there with human parents. I bleed, I breathe, I dream, just like them." She nodded gently. That is because you are both, Daniel. You carry two worlds inside you. He frowned. What do you mean? Her eyes glowed brighter as the ship slowly turned toward the stars. When our planet fell, not everyone wanted our kind to disappear. Some believed that the only way to survive was to blend with others, to share our light with new species. Daniel blinked. So you're saying, I'm part human because someone made me that way? Not made, she said. Born. You are proof that our two kinds can exist together, that we were never so different to begin with. Daniel leaned back against the wall, trying to process her words. The hum of the ship seemed to echo in his chest, matching his heartbeat. But if that's true, why would humans fear you? His mother's face darkened with sadness. Because fear is the easiest thing to grow. Your people see difference as danger. They do not yet understand what we are or what you are. He looked down at his hands, still faintly glowing with blue lines under the skin. So what am I supposed to do now? She turned toward him, placing her hand gently on his arm. Learn. Remember, there are things inside you that no human can teach, powers that connect life itself. But you must control them before they control you. A soft chime echoed through the ship. The walls lit up, revealing a map of the solar system, glowing in pale gold. The ship moved faster now, past the moon's orbit and beyond the edge of Earth's reach. Daniel stared at the projection. Where are we going? To the archive, she said. A place I built to remember what was lost. It floats in the shadow of Mars, hidden from your satellites. He hesitated. Why show me all this? Her expression softened. Because it is time for you to know the truth about me, about your birth, and about why you were sent to Earth. Hours passed in silence. Daniel watched the stars slide past the window like glowing rivers. His thoughts raced his childhood, his adoptive parents. His world suddenly turned upside down. He thought of how terrified they must be right now, watching the news, wondering where he'd gone. Will I ever go back? He asked quietly. His mother paused before answering. That depends on what you choose to become. The ship slowed as a massive shadow came into view, a broken fragment of a space station floating in the darkness. Its surface glowed faintly with silver veins, like an enormous scar across the black. This is the archive, she said softly. The ship docked silently. The door opened, revealing a long hallway lined with glowing blue crystals that pulsed like living hearts. Daniel followed her inside, his footsteps echoing softly. The air felt heavy, old, full of forgotten voices. What is this place? He whispered. The last memory of our people, she said. Every crystal here holds a life. Their thoughts, their dreams, their final moments. Daniel touched one of the crystals. A soft whisper entered his mind. Laughter, then music, then silence. He pulled his hand away, startled. They are still alive in a way, his mother said. Energy never dies, Daniel. It only changes form. He turned toward her. And you think I can control that energy? You can do more than control it, she said. You can awaken it. She led him deeper into the chamber until they reached the largest crystal of all, taller than both of them, glowing with pure white light. Inside, Daniel could see faint shapes, two figures holding a child. His chest tightened. Who are they? Her voice trembled. Your father and me. Daniel stepped closer. Then why is it here? When the war began, she explained, your father gave his life to save you. He sealed our family's essence into this archive, hoping that one day you would find it. When I found the archive again, I placed my remaining light here. 2. What you see is only what I have left. Daniel's eyes widened. You mean you're dying? She smiled sadly. My body cannot survive long in this form. I've lived too long between worlds. But my purpose is complete now. I found you. Tears filled his eyes. No, you can't leave me. Not now. She gently wiped his cheek, her touch glowing faintly. Do not cry, my son. My end is your beginning. Before Daniel could speak, the floor trembled. Red lights flashed through the hallway. They found us, she whispered. Daniel looked toward the ship's entrance. Through the glass panels, he saw bright flashes. Human ships closing in, engines burning blue. How did they find us? He shouted. They've been tracking your signal, she said. Your body emits both human and Aran frequencies. You are a bridge between worlds. That's why they want you. Daniel's heart pounded. What do we do? She turned toward him, her eyes fierce now. We run. But before we do, I must give you something. From a fold of her suit, she revealed a small, glowing orb, pure white, pulsing like a heartbeat. This, she said, placing it in his hands, is the key of Aran, the core of our people's light. It responds only to your blood. The orb floated slightly above his palm, humming softly. What does it do? Her voice broke. It can heal or destroy. It can bring life or end it. The power depends on the heart that holds it. The walls shook again. The roar of explosions echoed closer. She took his face in her hands, her glowing tears falling onto his skin. Promise me, Daniel. Promise you will not let them take this. Promise you will protect it, even if it means running forever. Daniel's voice cracked. I promise. She smiled, her light flickering. Then remember this. You are not just from the stars. You are the stars. Before he could answer, she pushed him backward into the ship's cockpit. A wave of blue energy swept through the air as she slammed her hand against the control panel. The door sealed shut. No! Daniel shouted, pounding the glass. Come with me. She shook her head. I will hold them off. The silence of space stretched endlessly before Daniel's eyes. Stars glimmered like frozen sparks against the dark sea beyond the ship's glass dome. But behind him, something was coming. Red lights blinked on the ship's control panel, warning beacons, trackers, incoming signals. Daniel's heart raced. They're still following me. The ship, now bonded with his touch, answered in a soft, calm voice. 3 human pursuit vessels detected. Distance, 80,000 kilometers and closing fast. Daniel tightened his grip on the pilot handles. Can you lose them? Not for long, the voice replied. Their technology has improved since your mother last encountered them. Daniel's chest tightened at the mention of his mother. Her face, her voice, her sacrifice. It all burned inside his mind like a memory he could never let go of. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Then show me what this ship can do. The vessel responded instantly. Energy flared around its silver hull, and with a soft hum, it shot forward, faster than anything built by human hands. Behind him, bright streaks of light followed. Missiles, laser tracers, human ships desperate to catch their prize. Daniel gritted his teeth. They won't stop, will they? They will not, the ship's voice said. You are the first of your kind. To them, you are both danger and miracle. Minutes felt like hours. The stars blurred into long white lines. Daniel could feel the energy inside him reacting, his hands glowing faintly against the control surface. Every time the ship took a hit, pain pulsed in his chest, as if the ship itself was part of him. Then, suddenly, a whisper echoed in his mind. A familiar voice, gentle, calm. Daniel. He froze. Mom. The voice continued, faint but clear. The light you carry is not just power. It is memory. It is connection. You are never truly alone. Daniel closed his eyes, gripping the orb hanging around his neck. The key of Aran. It glowed softly, matching his heartbeat. He whispered back, I won't let them take this from me. I promise. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the ship. One of the engines flared red. The voice warned, damage detected on rear thrusters. Recommend emergency warp jump. Daniel shouted, then do it. Destination required. He hesitated, scanning the map projected before him. Planets, moons, stations, all within human reach. Except one, a small world hidden in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Labeled only as Haven 9, an abandoned research outpost. Daniel pointed. There. Acknowledge. Jumping to Haven 9. The ship's hull brightened, bending space around itself. The stars folded inward, and with a sudden flash of blue, Daniel vanished from human sensors. When he opened his eyes again, the darkness outside had changed. Saturn loomed nearby, vast and golden, its rings glowing in silent arcs. Tiny meteors sparkled like dust in sunlight. The ship drifted quietly near the shadowed surface of a small, icy moon. Below lay the remains of a human base. Silent, dark, forgotten. "We have arrived," said the ship. Daniel exhaled in relief. "They won't find me here, right?" "Not for some time." He nodded and finally relaxed, floating in the cockpit's low gravity. After hours of running, he could finally think. He landed near the edge of the abandoned base. The airlock hissed open, releasing a thin mist of cold vapor. Daniel stepped out in a simple breathing suit, his boots crunching softly against the frozen surface. The outpost was empty, metal walls coated in ice, wires hanging like vines. A broken flag flapped weakly in the artificial wind. Inside, he found dusty control panels and screens still blinking faintly with low power. He brushed off the frost and activated one of the terminals. To his surprise, it flickered to life. Project Halo, Human Error and Life Optimization, terminated. Daniel's stomach twisted. "Aaron," he whispered. He opened the next file. Subject D-17, Hybrid Genetic Code Stable. Recommended termination due to uncontrolled energy spikes. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. D-17. He scrolled faster. Subject retrieved near Mars debris field. Estimated age, 3 months. DNA, non-terrestrial origin. Transfer to Earth under observation. His hand shook. "That's me?" He realized the truth. Humans had known about him all along. They didn't just find him. They kept him, studied him, maybe even used him. Rage and disbelief twisted inside his chest. He punched the console, cracking the ice around it. "They lied to me. My whole life." The orb at his neck pulsed violently, responding to his emotion. The air crackled with blue energy. Lights flickered. The metal floor vibrated. Daniel fell to his knees, gripping the glowing sphere. "Stop, please stop." But the power didn't listen. It surged outward, waves of light rippling across the outpost, melting ice and bending steel. Then he heard her voice again, faint, gentle, but firm. "Daniel, control it. Your anger will only feed the darkness. The light must be guided by peace." He forced his breathing to slow. His fingers loosened. The light dimmed. The vibration stopped. The orb floated gently in front of him again, calm and pure. Daniel whispered, "I'm trying, Mom, but it's hard." "That is why you must learn," the voice said softly. "The humans fear what they cannot control. But if you master it, you can show them what true light is." Daniel sat in silence for a long time. Outside the window, Saturn's rings shimmered like rivers of gold dust. He looked at the glowing orb in his hand and made a quiet vow. "I won't let them turn me into a weapon. I'll find out why they created Project Halo. I'll find who's behind it." The ship's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Incoming transmission, encrypted signal. Origin unknown." Daniel's heart jumped. "Play it." Static filled the speakers. Then a voice, low and human. "Daniel Hart, if you're hearing this, you survived. Good. We need to talk. You're not the only one of your kind." Daniel froze. "Who is this?" "Call me Nova," the voice replied. "I worked on Project Halo. There are others like you, hidden, sleeping, but they won't stay that way forever. Meet me on Titan's surface in 12 hours. Come alone if you want the truth." The message ended. Daniel stood motionless, his mind racing. Others like him? Hidden? Sleeping? He looked out at the massive shadow of Titan in the distance, dark, cold, mysterious. His heart pounded faster. He knew he had to go. As he prepared the ship for flight, the voice of his mother whispered one last time, "Every answer comes at a cost, my son. Be ready." Daniel took a deep breath and stared into the shadow of Titan. "I'm ready," he said. "Whatever it takes." The ship's engines roared softly, light blooming across its silver frame. It lifted off the ice, rising through the darkness toward the glowing orange moon ahead. And far behind him, hidden in the silence of space, the human pursuit ships continued their hunt, following the faint trail of starlight he left behind. Titan's surface glowed like a dim orange dream beneath the ship, Thick mist rolled across frozen plains, broken by the faint blue shine of methane lakes. The silence here felt heavier than space itself, cold, endless, and ancient. Daniel guided the ship down carefully, its engines whispering against the wind. As the landing struts touched the ground, the cockpit lights dimmed. He could see the ruins of a research camp, half-buried domes and cracked metal towers, long abandoned by humans decades ago. "We are here," said the ship's soft voice. Signal source detected inside the central dome. Daniel unstrapped his harness and stood, his body stiff from hours of flight. He wore a simple thermal suit and a visor mask to breathe Titan's poisonous air. The orb, the key of Aaron, hung around his neck, glowing faintly like a small heart. "Stay ready," he told the ship. "If anything goes wrong, lift off without me." "Understood, Daniel," the voice replied gently. He stepped out into the wind. Each footstep crunched softly on frozen dust as he crossed the icy plain toward the dome. Inside the structure, faint lights flickered. It looked like someone had only recently powered it back on. Daniel moved carefully through the narrow hallway until he reached a chamber lined with empty stasis pods, clear glass tubes filled with mist and wires. At the far end, someone was waiting. A woman stood in front of one of the pods, her back to him. She wore a silver coat that shimmered faintly in the low light. When she turned around, Daniel saw her face, human but not entirely. Her eyes glowed faint blue, her veins faintly luminescent under pale skin. "You're Nova," Daniel said quietly. She nodded slowly. "And you must be D-17, the one who escaped." He frowned. "My name is Daniel. I'm not your experiment." Nova sighed softly. "You're not. Not anymore." She walked closer, her expression a mix of sadness and wonder. "You've grown far beyond what we expected." Daniel glanced at the pods. Some were cracked. Some still glowed faintly inside. "What is this place?" Nova's voice softened. "It's where Project Halo began, where we tried to bridge two species, human and Aaron, to create something new." He clenched his fists. "You mean hybrids? Weapons?" She looked at him sharply. "That's what the generals wanted. Not me." Daniel hesitated. "Then why are you here?" "Because I couldn't live with what we did," she whispered. "I thought the others were lost. But 3 of the subjects survived, and they're waking up." Daniel's pulse quickened. "Waking up?" Nova gestured to the pods. "They've been in cryostasis for 20 years. Their bodies are older now, unstable. But their minds," she paused, her voice trembling. "Their minds are reaching out." He stepped closer, staring through glass. Inside one pod floated a figure, a young woman about his age. Her hair was silver blue like liquid metal, her eyes moving beneath closed lids. Tiny ripples of light ran across her skin. "She looks like your mother?" Nova finished. "Yes, the same genetic line. Aaron design." Daniel felt his heart twist. "Can she be saved?" Nova looked uncertain. "Maybe, but the other 2 are different." She moved to another pod. Inside, a tall figure stirred, its body covered in dark, almost obsidian-like skin. Its chest pulsed faintly with orange light, like magma trapped under flesh. "This one is Kale," Nova said quietly. "He was built to survive in extreme environments, fire, radiation, void. His power makes him unstable, but he's strong. Too strong." Daniel frowned. "And the third?" Nova hesitated, then opened a data pad showing a broken chamber deep under the base. "The third one isn't here anymore. The pod malfunctioned years ago. The body disappeared. We thought it died. But it didn't," Daniel guessed. She nodded. "No, it escaped before you were even born. It calls itself Vera now. And if the signal I've been hearing is real, she's looking for you." Daniel stepped back. "Why?" Nova looked directly at him. "Because you're the key. The energy that keeps her kind alive. The same energy your mother gave you. Without it, they fade. But if they find you, they'll take it by force." The ground trembled beneath them suddenly. A deep rumble echoed through the structure. Daniel glanced at the ceiling. "What was that?" Nova's face went pale. "They found us." The walls shook again. From above, blue dust rained down. Alarms lit up across the control panels. The stasis pods flickered, lights flashing erratically. Nova shouted, "The humans are here. They must have traced your ship's jump signature." Before Daniel could respond, a deafening crack split the ceiling. A blast tore through the upper wall, and soldiers in armored suits stormed in, weapons glowing red. "Freeze! Step away from the pods!" a commander yelled. Daniel raised his hands, his heart pounding. But inside, he felt the light rising again, the same energy that burned when he was angry or afraid. "Don't!" Nova cried. "If you lose control here, the whole base will collapse." The commander aimed directly at her. "She's a scientist. Take her alive." The soldiers fired stun charges. Nova fell to her knees, electricity crackling around her body. Daniel shouted her name and lunged forward. But one soldier struck him with a shock baton. Pain tore through his side. The orb around his neck flared white-hot. The air exploded. Energy burst outward like a wave, throwing every soldier backward. The ground cracked open. The pod shattered, releasing streams of glowing mist. Daniel stumbled, his vision flickering. One of the pods burst completely. And from inside, the blue-haired girl opened her eyes. Her gaze met Daniel's. They glowed brighter than stars. She whispered something, a word he didn't understand, and light poured from her hands. The soldiers screamed as their weapons melted like wax. Nova struggled to her feet, shouting, "Daniel, stop her. She's not stable." The girl's energy built faster, tearing through the air. Daniel grabbed her shoulders, shouting, "Listen to me. You're safe." For a moment, she stared at him, confused, trembling. Then, slowly, the light faded. Her breathing calmed. The base went silent again, filled only with the sound of falling dust. Nova exhaled shakily. "You saved her." Daniel looked at the girl. "Who is she?" Nova answered softly. "Her name is Lyra. She's your sister." Outside, unseen in the storm above Titan, another ship hovered, sleek, dark, and alien. Inside stood a tall figure with crimson eyes and dark skin that shimmered like molten stone. "Kale." He stared down at the glowing dome and smiled faintly. "So the first light has awakened," he said. "Then the war begins." The air inside the Titan outpost was heavy with dust and glowing mist. Daniel could still hear the echo of the explosion ringing in his ears. Nova knelt beside the fallen soldiers, checking for survivors, while Lyra, the silver-blue girl who had just awoken, stared blankly at her trembling hands. Her eyes, bright as twin stars, flickered with confusion and fear. Daniel slowly approached her, careful not to startle her. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe now." Lyra looked up at him, her lips barely moving. "Who are you?" Daniel hesitated. "My name is Daniel. You don't remember me, but I think we're family." Her gaze darted between his face and the glowing orb around his neck. "That light, I can feel inside you. It's like mine." Nova stood and joined them. Her expression was a mixture of awe and worry. "She's reacting to your energy signature. The Aaron bond is awakening." Daniel frowned. "The what?" Nova explained. "When two hybrids share the same core DNA, their energies resonate, like twin frequencies finding harmony. But if one loses control..." She glanced at Lyra. Daniel followed her eyes. Lyra's fingertips were glowing again, thin lines of light running across her veins. "It can trigger the other," Nova finished. Suddenly, the ship's voice cut through the comms. "Warning. Unidentified vessel approaching Titan's atmosphere. Massive power signature detected." Daniel's head snapped toward the ceiling. "Kale." Nova looked shocked. "How do you know that name?" "I saw him," Daniel said. "When the pods broke. I felt something through the light. He's awake too." Lyra's eyes widened. "Kale!" He was a protector. "Strongest of us." But her voice trembled. He was different. Angry. The ground trembled again, louder this time. Outside, the sky turned red as fire streaks ripped through Titan's haze. "Impact in 60 seconds, warned the ship. Nova grabbed a fallen soldier's rifle. "We need to move." Daniel nodded. Back to the ship, now! They ran through crumbling corridors, blue sparks lighting their way. The base groaned as cracks spread across its metal skeleton. Lyra stumbled, clutching her head. He's here, he's calling me. Daniel grabbed her hand. Ignore it. Stay with me. She looked at him, eyes filled with pain. You don't understand, he's family too. Another explosion shook the walls. Debris fell, and Daniel pulled her close, shielding her. Nova shouted over the noise, Go! The ship's waiting. Outside, the storm had turned violent. The once orange haze of Titan's atmosphere was now burning crimson. And then they saw it. Kale's ship descending like a meteor, glowing with molten energy. It landed on the icy plain with a thunderous roar, sending shock waves across the surface. The vessel opened and Kale stepped out, tall, armored in dark obsidian, his veins glowing like liquid fire. His eyes were bright red, fierce and unblinking. He looked directly at Daniel and smiled faintly. Brother? Daniel froze. You're not my brother. Kale tilted his head slightly. And yet you feel the same power. You are Aaron, just like me. Lyra took a step forward. Kale, stop. You're hurting people. Kale's gaze softened slightly at her. Little sister, you were supposed to sleep forever. Why did you wake up? Because Daniel saved me, she whispered. Kale's expression hardened again. Then he's made a mistake. Humans will never stop hunting us. We can't hide, we must rule. Daniel clenched his fists. You think destroying everything will fix it? Kale took another step forward. Not destroy. Cleanse. The humans infected our mother's gift. They twisted Aaron power into weapons. I will finish what she started, to remake this world in her image. Daniel shook his head. No, Mom didn't want this. She wanted peace. Kale smiled darkly. Then she was weak. Before Daniel could respond, Kale raised his hand. A surge of fiery energy shot toward them. Daniel pushed Lyra aside, catching the blast midair. The light around his arms flared blue, colliding with Kale's red flame. The ground between them exploded, a wave of force sending Nova flying back. Lyra screamed, running to help her, but the air between the brothers shimmered with power. Blue and red lights twisted together, crackling like lightning. Daniel's voice strained. You're wrong, Kale. This power isn't for killing. Kale's laugh was deep and cold. Then you don't deserve it. With a roar, Kale unleashed another blast. Daniel's shield shattered, and he was thrown backward into the snow. His body burned with pain. Lyra ran to him, kneeling beside his broken form. Daniel, please get up. Kale advanced slowly, his steps heavy and deliberate. Don't fight what you are, little brother. Join me. Together we can take the stars. Daniel coughed, blood on his lip. No, I'll never be like you. He reached for the orb, the key of Aaron, now cracked but still glowing faintly. As his fingers touched it, a vision flashed before his eyes. His mother, standing in light. Her voice, calm and warm. Daniel, power means nothing without love. Protect, don't destroy. He opened his eyes, whispering, I understand. Blue energy erupted from his body, brighter, purer than before. The snow around him vaporized into mist. Lyra gasped as her own veins lit up, responding to his call. Together, their lights merged, a wave of blue-white radiance that spread across the plain. Kale raised his arms, trying to resist, but the light pushed him back, tearing cracks in his armor. He roared, flames bursting around him. This isn't over. Before Daniel could strike again, Kale vanished into the red smoke, his ship rising and disappearing into clouds. The sky quieted. The ground cooled. Silence returned. Daniel fell to his knees, exhausted. The light around him dimmed. Lyra knelt beside him, holding his hand. You did it! Nova limped toward them, her face pale but determined. No, it's not over. He'll come back, and next time he won't be alone. Daniel looked up. What do you mean? She glanced toward the cracked pod still inside the base. Kale wasn't the only one who escaped. There's another, the one your mother feared most. Lyra's voice trembled. Vera. Nova nodded slowly. Yes, and Kale will find her. Daniel stood shakily, looking toward the horizon where Kale's ship had vanished. He could still feel his energy, distant but alive. We'll stop them, he said quietly. All of them, no matter what it takes. Lyra squeezed his hand. Together, Nova looked at them both and managed a faint smile. Then we have to move fast. The humans will be back soon, and if they find out what just happened here, they'll start a war. Daniel turned toward his ship. The faint blue lights along its hull flickered to life as its sensors approached. As the trio climbed aboard, Daniel looked one last time at the horizon. In the distance, Titan's orange haze faded into darkness, and beyond it, the stars waited. He whispered, "We're coming, Kale, and this time we won't run." The Earth hung quietly below, blue, fragile, alive. From orbit, it looked peaceful, but Daniel knew better. The war had already begun. The human fleets surrounded the planet, filling the void with light and noise. Every radar dish, every missile system, every satellite was pointed at the same place, the sky where Kale's ship had last been seen. Daniel's ship drifted among the shadows, silent and cloaked. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Nova monitored the scanners, her fingers flying across holographic keys. Lyra sat beside Daniel, watching the world below with wide, uncertain eyes. They're preparing for full planetary defense. Nova said quietly, "If Kale reaches orbit, they'll fire everything they have." Daniel frowned. "They won't win that way. If he unleashes his full power, half the planet will burn." Lyra whispered, "He's close. I can feel him, and Vera too." Daniel turned to her. "Are you sure?" She nodded slowly. "Their energy, it's merging." He found her. Nova looked grim. "Then we have minutes, maybe less." Daniel stood, his hands glowing faintly blue. "Then we end it here now." Outside the window, the darkness rippled. Two massive shapes emerged from the void. Kale's fiery ship and a smaller, more elegant craft beside it. The second ship shimmered with purple light, its hull covered in organic, scale-like plating. "Vera," Nova breathed. The comms crackled to life. Kale's voice filled the ship. "Brother, I knew you would come." Daniel replied, his voice calm but steady. "Stop this, Kale. You'll destroy everything, even the world Mom loved." "You still don't understand," Kale said coldly. "Mother's dream wasn't peace. It was rebirth. Humans poison the stars with greed and war. We will cleanse them with fire and light." A second voice joined in, smooth, echoing, almost hypnotic. "He's right, Daniel," Vera said. "Our mother gave us the power to remake life. You're the only one standing in the way." Daniel looked down at Earth, cities sparkling like tiny fires. He thought of the people below, unaware of what was coming. Then he looked at Lyra. Her expression was filled with sadness, not fear. "They don't understand what she really wanted," she whispered. "Mother never meant to rule. She meant to heal." Daniel nodded slowly. "Then we'll show them." He turned to Nova. "Keep our ship hidden. If this goes wrong, get to the surface." Nova grabbed his arm. "Daniel, you'll die if you face both of them." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but if I don't, everyone else will." Outside, Daniel stepped onto the ship's hull. No helmet, no armor, just a glowing orb. The key of Aaron, pulsing against his chest. The stars reflected in his eyes as he rose into open space. Across from him, Kale and Vera floated side by side, godlike, glowing with furious energy. Kale spread his arms. "So, the last of the weak stand before us." Daniel's voice echoed through the comlink. "Not weak, human." And then it began. The sky exploded with color. Kale hurled streams of molten fire, bright as the sun. Daniel countered with waves of blue light, bending space around them. The collision rippled across the stars, light and shadow twisting like storms. Vera raised her hand, summoning rings of purple energy that tore through space. Daniel dodged, barely escaping the blasts. "You can't fight us both," she shouted. Daniel gritted his teeth. "Watch me." He closed his eyes and felt the orb burning in his chest. Energy poured through his veins, brighter, stronger than ever before. He could feel Lyra's voice in his mind, calm, steady. "You're not alone, Daniel. I'm with you." Suddenly, blue light erupted from a hidden ship below. Lyra floated upward, surrounded by shimmering energy, her silver hair glowing like starlight. "Together," she said softly, brother and sister joined hands, their powers merging, blue and white light twining into a single radiant beam. Kale roared, striking with full force. Vera's energy spiraled beside his, forming a storm of flame and void. The four collided. For a moment, there was no sound, only light. A blinding sphere of energy expanded between them, swallowing the stars, shaking the very orbit. Inside the storm, Daniel could see Kale's face, filled with rage but also pain. "Why do you fight me?" Kale shouted. "We are gods." Daniel's answer was calm. "Because I'd rather be human than a god who kills." He poured all his energy into the key of Aaron. The orb cracked open, spilling pure white light. Kale screamed as his armor shattered. Flames extinguished. Vera's form flickered, her voice breaking apart. "The light, it burns." Daniel's voice echoed through the void. "It's not meant to burn, it's meant to heal." The explosion expanded, silent, endless. Then everything went white. When the light faded, Daniel floated in silence. Earth shimmered below, untouched. The human ships had stopped firing, frozen in awe. Kale and Vera were gone, their energy scattered like dust across the stars. Daniel felt weightless, drifting, barely conscious. The orb was gone too. Only faint particles of light surrounded him, fading slowly. Then he heard her voice. "My son." It was her, his mother, Erin. A vision appeared before him. A woman made of pure light, her smile soft and full of warmth. "You did what I could not. You brought balance, not through war, but through love." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I thought I lost you." "You never did," she whispered. "I am in you, in Lyra, in the humans you protected. This light will live on." Her form began to fade. "Go now, Daniel. Be the bridge between two worlds. The stars are yours to protect." And then she was gone. A soft blue light surrounded Daniel. The ship appeared beneath him, guided by Nova and Lyra. They pulled him inside. Nova's voice trembled. "He's alive." Lyra held his hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. "You did it. It's over." Daniel smiled weakly. "No, it's just beginning." He looked out the window. The warships had stopped. Some were signaling lights, not weapons, but messages. Nova interpreted them aloud. "They're standing down." They saw what happened. Lyra whispered, "Maybe they finally understand." Daniel gazed at Earth below, blue, calm, beautiful. He could feel the faint heartbeat of energy still within him, quiet and peaceful. He smiled. Mom was right. The light was never about power. It was about hope. As their ship drifted into the sunlight, Daniel closed his eyes. The rays touched his skin, warm and golden. For the first time, he didn't feel alien. He fell home. Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder, and Nova watched silently, a faint smile breaking through the exhaustion. "What now?" Lyra asked softly. Daniel looked out at the stars, his eyes steady. "Now," he said, "we build a new world, one where both kinds can live as one." Epilogue. Far across the galaxy, faint blue dust gathered among the stars, the remnants of Kale and Vera's energy. And somewhere deep in the void, a single spark flickered to life. A voice whispered from the darkness, familiar, faint, and curious. "Brother, are you still there?" The light pulsed once, then went silent. The end. Story by HFY Sci-Fi.